can swing. Though nothing will keep us together. We can beat them forever and ever. Oh, we can be heroes just for one day.
Let's start officially. I wanted to start with our intro, with our video, but I will add it later on so everyone can see our registration afterwards. So hello and welcome to the second season of Enjoy Vintage Sustainable Fashion Podcast. And this is episode 1 of the new series, The Rise of the Global South. My name is Iri, and I'm the founder of this non-profit association aiming at raising global support with a brand new strategic political design focusing on the ongoing environmental disaster in the global south, caused by fast fashion brands, second-hand e-waste, supported by reckless local dormant governments turning their backs on their own people. With this new series of podcasts, we will seek support from governments and humanitarian institutions, industry leaders, and other powerful entities willing to join forces with our team and supporters, asking with diplomatic action a drastic change on the current system that entwines international laws, asking for the total ban on all the import of second-hand and e-waste to all the countries based in the global south. Each country should be accountable for recycling, reusing, and disposing of their own textile and electrical waste, rather than poisoning shamelessly the land that belongs to others, compromising the health of the local population and the surrounding nature with permanent damages. In this episode, we will investigate the reasons that brought the EAC, the East African Community, to withdraw the approved ban on all second-hand imports from the West, initially thought of being effective by 2019. Let's dive a little bit more on this issue. With the first panel of discussion, what happened to the initial agreement and implementation of this ban? The EAC, including Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, and Uganda, agreed in 2016 to ban second-hand clothing imports by 2019 to support the local textile and leather industry and reducing the impact on the environment. This democratic resolution was soon faced with hostilities, resistance, and delays. Kenya and Uganda faced challenges in implementing the ban, including pressure from the US, which threatened to remove Kenya from the AGOA trade program if it didn't soften its stance. Uganda also experienced resistance from traders. Now, on Rwanda implementation. Rwanda was the only EAC member to fully implement the ban, facing significant challenges in supporting the local textile industry and the informal second-hand clothing trade. The second panel of discussion, these are the two main panels of discussion. The second one will be focusing on the e-waste threat on Ghana's children, compromising their health and life expectancy, poisoning the soil and wildlife permanently. Think about it. Now, I found a document. Can you please turn off the microphones, please? A document which was published and reported by the WHO, the World Health Organization, in 2021. So I have the link that I would like to share with you later on. The increasing danger of exposing the vulnerable population, millions of young children and adolescents, as well as women of childbearing age. Sorry, can you hear me? Okay, can you hear me? Yeah, apologies for that. So the increasing danger of exposing the vulnerable population, millions of young children and adolescents, as well as women of childbearing age, work in the growing e-waste dumps in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, as well as in some developed economies of Europe and elsewhere, extracting, imagine for 1 second your own kid extracting precious metals such as gold from computer chips and copper from cables by burning the devices or using toxic chemical bath. Imagine your own kids doing that for a living, yeah? In the process, they are exposed to dangerous chemicals such as mercury, lead, dioxin, and flame retardants, and breathe air polluted with toxic particles. In 2019, we had 53.6 million tons of electronic and electrical waste, e-waste, which were generated worldwide, and 21% increase over the past 5 years. Global e-waste generation is projected to grow to 74.7 million tons by 2030. Imagine these figures from the WHO, the World Health Organization. So, and still, the WHO has got all these figures, all this data, very, very accurate, but still what they are doing. Is there any action coming from them? I'm not aware of it. So my dear friends, think twice when you feel the need to upgrade your mobile phone every 9 months because Apple or Samsung wants you to. So let's move to the agenda now and the panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited today. Finally, we managed to get as keynote really a very important figure in Ghana and worldwide, Yo Kisi. Please welcome Yo. Hi, Yo. Hi. Yo is a writer and commentator. Hi. He's a writer and commentator on Africa's future. He's got 40K plus audience. He's a strategic and economic policy expertise. So Yo is a bold and unapologetic voice in Africa's reawakening. He is a powerful thought leader on the future of Africa, challenging neo-colonial narratives, confronting structural injustice, and championing the untapped strength on the continent and its diaspora. Through writing, speaking, and high-impact consulting, Yo is building bridges between Africa and its global descendants, because true liberation begins with clarity, connection, and control of your narrative. Please welcome Yo. Yo, we are all here. We are so eager to listen to you. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thank you once again, Iri, for this wonderful opportunity. I think you've described me very well and what I stand for, and I really appreciate that. And I also want to say a good welcome to anybody listening to us today from the global north and from the global south as well. Yeah, so my name is Kisi, just like Irene has already stated, and I'm speaking to you today from Ghana. And you know, when Irene was speaking, I was just going through my mind, and Ghana is a country that knows very well, or far too well, the cost of being treated like the world's trash bin. Yeah, and I don't have any other words, but that is basically the word I would like to use. We are being treated like a trash bin, because what we are witnessing now is not something random. It is, to me, waste colonialism, as is worldwide known, because it is a scramble for not just Ghana but for Africa as a whole. Because for me, this time around, it is not, and people don't really take this discussion serious, because it is not, we are not talking about the looting of gold and cocoa and oil and so on and so forth, but it is equally important, and it is even worse off and more dangerous. What's happening is that waste is being dumped. Sorry for that. Waste is being dumped here on us, and one of the most scary places to go to in Ghana is where we call Agbogboshi, and this, I was reading a report which said that this place was once called the most polluted place on earth, and that is scary for me, because when you go to Agbogboshi right now, where I have been, you see young boys and young men between the ages of 8, 10, 12, walking barefooted through these heaped mountains of waste, electronic waste, and all kinds of waste, and these wastes are being burned. And think about what it does to our environment, with all these kids around with no gloves, no masks, no safety, just children. You can just imagine what that does to us. Now, I was reading a study by the Basel Convention that revealed that over 85% of second-hand electronics are shipped to West Africa. Just think about that. 85% of second-hand electronics being shipped to West Africa. And these are non-functional electronics, and they come here and they become very toxic, and they are just waste. Ghana alone, where I come from, receives 215,000 tons of waste annually. And most of it is even brought here through some illegal means. And this is dangerous. So the topic we are talking about today is something that is scary, that is killing us. And from a Ghanaian perspective, it is more than being looted of gold and oil, because it is very dangerous. Because we say that, oh, when and the narrative has always been that if we throw the waste off to Africa, we are recycling. How is this recycling? This is not in any form recycling. This is slow, silent genocide for me. And we are told that this is helping Africa. How are we being helped? Now, there's an important question that I always ask myself when it comes to this whole waste thing. Now, who decided that help must come in the form of poison? Help must come in the form of waste that is dumped here. We don't have anywhere to put them. We have to burn them. It's poisoning our environment through all kinds of dangerous fumes in open places. Who decided this? Is it us? Is it our leaders? Is it some pressure from somewhere? And we are going to look very deep into this, because this is something that is really strange to me. Now, ethically, this is terrible. It is killing our future as Africans. This is not sustainable, because we've seen it. When you look at our streets, when you go to a place like Kantamanto, you look at our streets are poisoned. Now, let me go into second-hand clothing. Now, when I was reading on second-hand clothing in Africa, I realized that this industry alone is worth $5 billion. And so this is something very revealing, and you should ask yourself, and this should also answer why this industry is not going away, no matter how much we speak about it, because it is a $5 billion industry, meaning this is profit to some people. And this ends up in Africa because most of it is being, sent here, about 70% of it from data. In Ghana, we import over 100 containers of used clothes every week. Let that sink. Every week. And there's a funny name we call this in Ghana. We call it Obroniwewu, which means a dead white man's clothes. Culturally, environmentally, psychologically, as Africans, what does this do to us? What does it do to us? Now, one of the key things that I would like to focus on is, in 2016, the EAC tried to stop this menace, this canker. This is something that is deadly. And funny enough, they were threatened by the United States with trade sanctions, and they told Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, and even Rwanda, who has been able to come out of this, that they have to agree to this because they were going against the African Growth and Opportunity Act agreement. Now, the goal for these countries was clear, because economically, when you continue to import these kind of clothes into your economy, it cripples your textile industry. For example, in Ghana, we have close to no clothing brand, which is very strange and terrible, because imagine the number, because we say here in Ghana, at most parts of Africa, unemployment is a big thing. So now we can't have our own textile industries because we have to import waste, which is cheaper. Now, how do you compete with that? How do you compete with waste if you start a clothing brand? How are you supposed to compete with that? So people shy away from this industry. Waste is dumped here. The funny thing about it is that the 100 containers that we are shipping, data shows that 40% is not even usable. It's not. They just come in here and we can't use them. And then we use them to poison our environment. So the economies that we are shipping from, look at how smart they are, and we sit here and accept this. They don't have to dispose of their waste. They don't have to spend money to dispose of their waste because they are dumping it on you. To dump it on you, they cut money from disposing of waste. On top of that, they make profit, 5 billion from disposing of that waste. Now tell me how this makes sense. So this pressure was put on the EAC to stop them from, this ban. Now, this is what actually happened. Let me go through this. You see, the US, through what they call trade lobby smart, push hard on this. They threatened to remove these countries from the AGOA, a key that, and those of you who know AGOA, it is a key export privilege. When you are removed from it, it does a lot of detriment to you exporting to the US and other countries internationally. So in 2018, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania had to reverse. They caved under pressure, and only Rwanda was able to stand. Now, look at the math. Look at how Rwanda's textile industry is growing. So for me, this is what I'll say. This is not just policy failure. It is evidence of a global economic cohesion. And whenever Africa tries to rise, it is punished. Why? Why do we have to be punished if we try to rise? Because this ban could have been a turning point, but instead it became another reminder that even our domestic choices are not free from foreign control. So I ask again, who benefits from this level of dependency? And who profits from this landfill? Who gains from our failed dreams? Because young people who want to go into this industry can't go because they can't compete. So for me, this is not partnership. This is not charity. This is something that needs to stop. This is about Africa being kept dependent, polluted, and powerless. And for me, I think it's high time that everybody rises, because this is not a conversation that we should be reluctant about. It doesn't make any sense. And today I stand here and I say no more. We will not, and we should not accept to be a global landfill for fast fashion, broken phones, and failed policy. Because true sustainability begins with justice, not just greenwashing, upcycling, and all these soft campaigns that we are seeing about. For me, justice led by those who have been burned, poisoned, and silenced for too long is very important. So let me finally say this. Let me allow my wonderful, colleagues on this podcast to come in. We are not here, me personally, as you've seen on LinkedIn, I'm not here to recycle anybody's guilt. The West, whoever gains from this, African politicians who have been asleep for too long, who have acted like they don't care, that is not what I am here for. I am here speaking for everybody around the world, both Africans and non-Africans who are affected by this, that it is time for us to reclaim our dignity. And that is what I want us to understand. It is time. So now I would end and I would allow my wonderful colleagues, Belinda and Mer, to comment and what is actually going on with this waste. What happened with the EAC, how they were pressured. What is going on? Is this just failed policy, or this is a deliberate attempt to suppress, the global south?
Thank you. Thank you, Yo. This is very powerful speech. Thank you very much. It's very emotional as well. So you're right, we should all rise together, not only for the global south, but for all the countries who are affected by this injustice. So really powerful words and very accurate and straight to the point. I have one question though. You mentioned, as we know, the 40% of secondhand, is not recyclable, so it just goes straight into destruction. It can be recycled, it can, etc. And then this is a $5 billion industry. Right?
Yes.
And you say, so who do you think is benefiting from this?
For me, I just think it's the West and some politicians in Africa. And for me, that is it. Because there is a reason why the people are calling for this to be banned. And I always want to look at this from two sides, because if we say no, it ends. The moment we rise up with our leaders and say no, it ends, because no amount of pressure they can't force it on us. So it's two ends doing this. Some people from our end, some politicians from our end are heavily involved in this. And they are benefiting, obviously, maybe through some compensation or bribes or whatever. I don't have any data to prove that now, but I don't see any reason why, if you can grow up a fashion industry and a textile industry in your country, you would continue to allow waste to flow in.
No, exactly. But I also think, this is my opinion based on my own research and experience now, advocating for the global south since 2 years now. I also think that the second-hand industry is playing a double game here, right? Because you know what they do? All these big organizations, I mean, I don't want to point the finger directly straight to second-hand industry. But actually today, I was also expecting a response from Oxfam. You know, Oxfam is one of the biggest collectors of second-hand clothes, you know, especially in the UK. And they didn't respond. They responded, yes, we are considering, because I wanted to hear from them. How does it work? How can you claim you are doing something charitable? And then, as a matter of fact, there's nothing charitable in what you're doing, because you're just disposing rubbish elsewhere, as a matter of fact. And then, on the other hand, there are these big private corporates claiming how good is secondhand. And what they do, they scream out the top label for them, like Nike, like top fashion brands from designers, labels, and they sell just the best. And all the rubbish, the thing that can't even be recyclable because they are made of polyester, i.e. plastic, it's going to be shipped to Africa. Give it to Africans because they are docile, because they are sitting there doing nothing. So we give them something to do. Believe me, that's the concept in the West, which is a vicious concept. And the other thing that really strikes me is that how come there are people, I don't want to get political here today, but I have to be honest, and I have to be outspoken as I am all the time. How come there are people in the West, university, top university, Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge, etc., and they are all now, you know, fighting and protesting for other causes, for other political causes, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to get into that. What really annoys me is not the fact that they are protesting, because it's good that people protest, but why everybody is ignoring one of the biggest environmental disasters ongoing in Africa, which is caused by us, as a matter of fact. Why people are keeping silent? I'm talking about academics. I'm talking about big university in the West. Okay, I'm telling you, I think the answer is because it's not fashionable enough to talk about this disaster. You talk about other political actions, other wars, other genocides, are more convenient, because those genocides are convenient and they are politicized. Okay, and they're more fashionable. It's more fashionable. Don't you agree?
I do. I agree perfectly with you, and this doesn't get talked about enough. And
no, and it's also because people should start picturing their own kids, excavating in this e-waste poison just to make a living, just to sell out, you know, for a few dollars, which is. It's shocking. It's shocking. Yes, Nina. Hi, Nina. Welcome. Hi, Nina. Nina Gabor is our friend as well. Join anytime, Nina. If you want to add anything, please do. So this is my point, Yo. And I find I'm not a rightful person. Most of the time, as my partner claims, I'm always wrong. Of course, everything I do, everything I say, I'm always wrong. But and I don't know better than anyone else, but this is just my gut feelings that I'm sharing. It's really so annoying to see these spoiled kids in the university, Utah, Cambridge, Harvard, spoiled kids talking about something they don't even have the knowledge about it, but just because it's fashionable. And they're ignoring the real genocide, which is ongoing in Africa. And one day this will get back to us.
Yeah.
If we don't act.
If I may,
Okay.
I think that was so incredibly powerful. But what strikes me is how it is the same cycle of colonialism. It is the same cycle of exploitation. You know, when you raise questions about where are the ethics, ethics are selectively applied, are they not? Right?
Yes.
And when you talk about why are we being punished? I mean, this is something that I'm going to be exploring as well. But even in this context, I just couldn't help but think this really does come down to the colonized and the colonizer. Ultimately, we're still paying the price for being colonized when it wasn't even our fault.
Yeah.
And I'm aware that I speak the language of the colonizer. I have the accent of the colonizer. But again, I think it's a sense of responsibility that I have to at least turn around and say, why are my people of color in the global south, still being punished for it?
Yeah.
Ultimately, is the global south just an entity for extraction and use? And then that is packaged as charity or as sustainability. So I think these are conversations that, Irene, what you're talking about in academics, it's not as if they aren't aware of it. I think we've got to stop saying that, oh, do you even know that this is happening? They know. They know. But it's a matter of raising awareness amongst our communities that you in Ghana are suffering in the same way that I see my communities in Pakistan suffering. And it's pretty much the same legacy. Right?
It is.
And it's just in different economic forms. Yours is chemical waste. Mine is textile waste. Yours is ultimately what we're essentially looking at is you have these different categories and segments, and what do they build up to? Loss of human life. Some lives matter, not all lives matter. That's what it comes down to.
That's so true. That's so true. Mayor, before we give also space to Dr. Lian, who is patiently waiting with her hand. Sorry, Lian. I need to introduce our second guest. Yo, thank you very much. Of course, stay online because the conversation doesn't end here. It's not over yet.
Sure.
Let me introduce this wonderful lady, Maher Hussain. Am I pronouncing it correctly? Maher Hussain. Let me, I just want, I know how wonderful she is, but I want all of you to know how wonderful and how brave this woman is. Okay, so Maher F. Hussain, please welcome her from Pakistan. Maher is a British Pakistani journalist, author, publisher, and sustainability consultant based in Lahore. With over 16 years of experience in media, her writing spans human rights, culture, sustainability, and economic development, appearing in national and international publications. She is the founder of two influential social ventures, Zuka Accessories, around 2018, which is a social enterprise, one of the few, I have to say, which is empowering women in vulnerable countries. This social enterprise that collaborates with rural artisans, especially women, of course, to rejuvenate indigenous textile like muslin and kadar through ethical, sustainable production. Zuka Books is the other venture that she founded in 2020, which is Pakistan's first independent publishing platform, championing sustainable printing, freedom of expression, and cultural heritage. She's also the co-founder of Zucast. We need to watch your podcast, yeah? Pakistan First Sustainability Podcast, tackling fast fashion waste and environmental responsibility. Her efforts have earned recognition from UN Women Asia Pacific, the International Publisher Association, and be appointed as a sustainability advocate for the Swarovski Foundation Creatives for Our Future. Now, she's going to focus today on three short panels, 3 panels. The first one is how fast fashion is contributing to climate change in the context of Pakistan and the largest flood in the world. The second is the link between fast fashion, climate change, and impact on the indigenous ecosystem. And the third one is fast fashion plus climate change plus loss of natural habitat equal to rise in child marriages. The cycle of exploitation and post-colonialism, and this time the price is in the form of children's sacrifice. So before we welcome this wonderful lady, Leanne, would you like to pose your question, or would you like to wait after?
I'll certainly wait. My hair was starting to get on fire, but it's calming down.
Okay, would you like to add anything?
This will work into Mayor's speech here or discussion. And basically, I just wanted to interject this in, I thought Yaw hit on some amazing points. And I thought his final comment of, is this failed policy or attempt to suppress the global south? And we all know what that is. So, and we jump over to Erie talking about not having a response from Oxfam, because
zero.
I'll tell you why. And the professors, and we have Columbia, and we have, people that have never worked a day in their life protesting for things that they just got off the internet. So it's just one of those things. But you did not get a response from Oxfam because you are not a fancy person. Okay. So fancy people only talk to fancy people. So we are all far more valuable than the fancy people that they think they can communicate with. And we are far more capable of coordinating solutions to what's going on. But unfortunately, money is a driver, and we are working to circumvent that. I have this term that I recently came upon in my old Latin studies, and it's called ignis fatuus. And it has nothing to do with being fat. It's a Latin word for foolish fire. And there is no such thing as sustainable fashion because it really exists in the mind of the fancy people and the marketers. So I think from here on in, we should refer to whatever they call themselves, sustainable fashion, whatever. It's really ignis fatuus. It's foolish fire. It's an illusion. So, you get something that is wrapped beautifully and it has a little green leaf on the front. And it says one sustainable quality. So the person buys it. Well, the other 8 things in there are going to kill you by the time you're 10, right? So I don't want to keep going, but I just wanted to say those were brilliant comments. I do want to keep going, but I'm going to read. Mayor's comments are very powerful already, leading into the issues in the global south. But I rest my case, but not forever, for a few minutes. It is the land of fancy people, and we're taking care of that.
You're absolutely right. It's just sustainability in fashion has been created just as a marketing strategy. Yeah, it's a positive branding association. But as a matter of fact, they keep luring their factories in Bangladesh, in Pakistan, with slave workers. So, but I wanted to say that not only Oxfam didn't respond to me, but also the EAC. I also emailed several times the Eastern African Community Management, the secretary, several times because I wanted them on board, but you know, they didn't respond. So, okay, without any further ado, I'd like to leave the microphone to Meher, who has been waiting for her very, with so much, you know, grace and patience. Thank you, Meher. Welcome,
Not at
Meher.
all. Thank you so much. And Dr. Leanne, thank you so much for your comments. And I completely agree with you. So I am going to talk about, and I'd love for everyone to pitch in, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So I'm going to talk about international commitments versus ground realities in the context of gender, climate, and exploitation in the form of children. International organizations, whether donors or commercial entities, often say the right things. They champion the need to integrate gender and climate change, advocate for equal participation in climate decision-making, push for gender-responsive policies, and promote equitable climate financing. But in all honesty, reality tells a different story. Across the globe, women and children continue to bear the brunt of triple planetary crises. We're looking at climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. And despite all the commitments, the lived experiences of many women and girls reflect exclusion, marginalization, and disproportionate vulnerability. In the development sector, where the goal is always to correct global injustices, climate work is usually divided across 5 thematic areas. One is capacity building and communication. Second is gender balance and women's leadership. Third is policy coherence. Fourth is gender responsive implementation and financing. And the fifth one is monitoring and reporting. Now, all of this appears comprehensive on paper, but where's the implementation? Women continue to remain underrepresented in Pakistan's leadership roles within the very same institutions and forums, national, regional, international, that shape environmental policy and allocate resources, all in the name of sustainability. Despite being recognized as vital agents of change, the rights of women, girls, and marginalized communities are increasingly under threat, especially in times of crisis. Their leadership is essential, but their roles are often sidelined or symbolic at best, particularly when it comes to campaigns around sustainability. Furthermore, global developments need to be contextualized within historical responsibilities. Climate ambition and gender equality, you can't compare them between different countries without acknowledging the structural imbalances between the global north and the global south. The global south continues to pay the highest price for the former's unchecked consumption and industrial legacy. As The Guardian rightly notes, the fashion industry remains opaque and dangerously unaccountable. No one knows how many garments are produced, or how many go unsold, how many head to the landfill. Estimates suggest between 80 to 150 billion garments are produced each year, out of which 10 to 40% may never be sold. That means 8 to 60 billion pieces of clothing could be wasted annually. Now, this isn't just a problem of overproduction, it's also oversupply, driven by aggressive marketing, social media manipulation, and consumer exploitation. Brands manufacture demand. Does so much demand actually exist? I don't think so. But here's the darker side. Fast fashion is fueling a grotesque humanitarian catastrophe, and climate change is deeply impacted. In Pakistan, UNICEF reports nearly 19 million child brides. Not young, child brides, okay? The 2022 flood, which was the world's largest flood, worsened by climate breakdown, was projected to trigger an 18% increase in child marriage rates. Poverty, displacement, and climate shocks have given rise to something that is now known as monsoon brides, and it is not romantic. Young girls are married off as a coping mechanism. Ohio State University did a study in 2023 that confirmed that climate disasters increase child marriage rates in countries where it is already practiced. One isn't denying the culture, but one is definitely highlighting how fast fashion fuels climate crises that exacerbates an existing problem instead of solving it. The 2022 floods alone impacted nearly 5 million people in Sindh, one of the provinces of Pakistan, half of them children. With homes destroyed, education disrupted, livelihoods lost, girls are left with no choices, except that they're either sold or married off. And they're sold to feed the younger children in the family. Child marriage is not a social issue. It is a direct consequence of climate-driven poverty. And the trauma doesn't end there. It's not as if they're married off and that's it, the problem was solved. You're looking at a loss of freedom, their safety, their childhood. Colonial legacies, exploitation, and the illusion of sustainability is the sum of the issue here. In Pakistan, cotton growing regions, the colonial legacy continues to shape modern exploitation. Imported pesticides have devastated indigenous seeds, destroying native cotton strains that were once central to local economies and climates. I belong to a land where the earliest cotton seed has been traced. That's older than my DNA, and it no longer exists. Now, we are in a situation where buyers, international buyers, might I add, reject our local cotton for not meeting Western-centric certifications. This devaluation renders it practically worthless while denying communities such as myself access to a fabric naturally suited to my environment. This shirt that I'm wearing right now is not locally produced, and I'm told that this will help me in this monsoon season. Where is my fabric that suits my body right now? I cannot have access to it. And what about the women who pick the cotton? Over 500,000 women, and when I say women, I'm talking female children and boys, little boys and girls as well, labor in the fields earning less than £1 to pick 40 kilograms of cotton. We're talking 95 pence for 40 kilograms of raw cotton picking. And their work goes unrecognized in global supply chains because the conversation with all these international agencies starts at tier 1, which is the industrial level, factory workers. So consider this: a woman, invisible and underpaid, picks cotton that's deemed low quality for not aligning with foreign standards. That same cotton is then sold cheaply for not being good enough, feeding a profit-driven system that overproduces, oversupplies, and floods markets, fueled by trends and certifications. What's the end result here, guys? Environmental destruction, social exploitation, and child marriages. Who's paying the ultimate price? Our children. Sustainability is a hollow term. It's a marketing buzzword. In practice, we haven't even begun to grasp what it truly means. Trends sell, ads work, children die. That's the harsh, unvarnished reality of fast fashion. Just today, I was reading, the European Commission is expected to withdraw the Green Claims Directive, which is a significant blow to the progress of sustainable fashion and circular economy goals. According to the Commission's own findings, I mean, we've been talking about this, but let's face it, what we said didn't matter, but thankfully the Commission's own findings have found that over 50% of environmental claims made by businesses are misleading, with nearly half lacking any credible evidence to support them. In the fashion industry, where overproduction and overconsumption are rampant, vague, unverified sustainability claims have become common. This not only erodes consumer trust, but undermines any genuine efforts, particularly those made by the Global South, towards circularity. Now, we can say that this is deeply troubling, but for us in the Global South, we have always led sustainable lives. We have lived in harmony with nature. And by no means am I romanticizing this. Of course, there's a high price to pay. But when I do a comparison, I think the high price that we paid with our sustainable methods of production and consumption were far more easier to bear than the price we pay for Western models of consumerism. If the EU is serious about achieving its Green Deal goals and leading the way in circular fashion, addressing greenwashing must be a priority. This greenwashing is a concept of the West. This is not our concept. And it's high time that the global North began to listen to us, because we're paying the price for the clothes you wear on your back. Thank you.
Oh, amazing, Mayor. Thank you for this
Thank you,
outstanding
Baron.
speech. And this is an amazing witnessing. I've learned a lot just in 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I've learned the tragedy is even worse than we expected. And I promise you, we will do a special on the child marriages and empowering women in Pakistan, and how to stop this pandemic of fast fashion. So I'll promise you we will do a special episode on that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So after such a moving speech, let's go to our next guest for today. We have, please welcome Belinda Atieno. She is from Kenya, and she is the co-founder of the Eco Fashion Week Africa. So Belinda, she will talk today about her talking points. Her panels will be focusing on colonial waste and Mitumba realities, which means how the global second-hand clothing trade has shifted from an opportunity to a form of waste colonialism. The real impact on local designers, tailors, and textile industry displacement, devaluation, and dependency. Eco Fashion Week Africa, a grassroots response. Why we founded EFWA, and I'm talking about Belinda and Anyango. They are sisters, and they together founded the EFWA. So why we founded the EFWA and how our theme, No New Clothes Runaway, reclaims cultural upcycling techniques rooted in African necessity and creativity. Our role in re-educating youth and creatives on sustainable fashion as empowerment, not trend. Another panel of discussion will be the policy and participation. Reflections on the East African community's withdrawal from the 2019 second-hand clothing ban and what it reveals about external pressure versus internal priorities. The need to center African voices in global fashion conversation and policy making. The final panel will be a call for equity, not charity. We don't want to be saved. We want mutual partnerships that respect circular knowledge from the global south. The case for ending extractive narratives and building equitable fashion system. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Belinda Atieno Smetana, directly from Kenya. Belinda, what a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we do.
Good. Thanks for having me. And I love being in this kind of panel. I always love being part of this panel because then I sit and my book is full just from listening to my fellow panelists. It's always a learning opportunity for me as a person. So as shared, my name is Belinda Atieno, and I'm the co-founder of Eco Fashion Week Africa. This is the fashion platform, or the Fashion Week platform, that is fighting the linear way or the normal way that fashion weeks are conducted. So we are doing our third year now. We started where no one understands what we're doing. For you to understand, you have to really be the one who is beating and fighting textile waste. And you have to be the person, like Mary said, I was clapping in my head and everywhere in my body, where it was sustainable fashion is out there to sell. It's a way for brands to sell. And so coming in as Eco Fashion Week Africa, where we're saying no new clothes runway, we are challenging that, and it has been hectic to get there, but we are on our third year now. So today I will speak about the secondhand and waste colonialism. I will also speak about the impact of secondhand on local designers and tailors. And I will speak about what Eco Fashion Week does on the ground. And I will also share my thoughts on policy and participation, which you touched on and really, really shared deeply. And I couldn't agree more on. So you was speaking about the West, about West Africa, but it was almost like he was speaking about Kenya. So if I was to say, I would be repeating the same thing that he was saying. So to start with colonialism and secondhand fashion, this is quite personal to me. And when I speak from a point of lived experience. If you Google Kibera in Kenya, it's one of the largest slums in the world. I was born and raised there. So when I'm speaking, I speak from lived experience, and secondhand fashion is something that I'm quite passionate about when I'm speaking about this. First of all, I'm speaking as a user. When I grew up, I'm 40 years now. I'm turning 40 soon. So these are clothes that I grew up. When they introduced, I was a young kid. And so I used to go to the market to buy these secondhand clothes. I am speaking as someone who was given 10 shillings, which is less than $1, and I could run to the market, and I used to get high quality clothes. I used to buy them. My parents used to buy these clothes for us. Our friends lived on these clothes. We used to pass on clothes and everything to generation and brothers and sisters I used to wear. So where I'm speaking from someone who lived in the slums and used the secondhand clothes. And I'm speaking as someone who has seen with my own eye the value going down. Again, I am speaking as someone who moved from Kenya to Europe. I lived in Europe for 9 years. I saw with my own eyes. I have pictures and videos of me as Belinda participating in swap events where you are learning how to sew and thread and everything when this system was introduced, where people were now fighting. Like, you don't want to waste, don't waste. And there was educational platforms where you're told not to waste your clothes. My question to anyone who is telling us that Kenya and other African countries are still receiving good quality clothes, my question is, when the West is learning how to recycle and upcycle and rewear and repair and doing everything and thrift, they're going to thrift what we used to get years ago. If they now know how to thrift, recycle, do all these things, and at the same time we have research where there's Shein, there's Temu, there's everything, how can you sit down with me and tell me that we are receiving good quality clothes? How can you, if let's say I'm not educated, because a lot of people are saying we're speaking from a point of not understanding and not research and everything. I'm speaking from lived experience. I have lived there. I have friends who until today are selling in this market. And if we take out the middlemen and we just sit down with my friends, they still know me by name. They will tell me, Belinda, the quality now is worse. It's worse. So I am speaking as someone who is connected to these people, as someone who was born and raised there, as someone who has lived in the West and has come back home. So I have seen all these things. So where I don't agree is when we are told that the quality of clothes that we are getting in the name of charity is still good. No, people, this is waste colonialism. We are getting the rest. Everything else, everything that is left after swapping, everything that is left is being thrown because you don't know where to take them. And that's why we are getting torn clothes, trash, stained clothes, and like sometimes you cannot imagine what you see there. And so for me, I still stick and I will still be, if I have to be the only one standing alone speaking that we are getting trash, I will be standing alone and speaking about that. So that's number one. And that was colonialism and secondhand, which I'm so passionate about because I believe that we're being colonized in the name of donation. And another one is impact on local designers and tailors. So when it was introduced, for us, yes, it's a charity, but have we ever reflected on how many tailors lost their jobs? Because now something, an outfit is worth less than a thread that a tailor needs to buy. I mean, I need to buy a thread, I need to buy buttons, I need to buy everything, but a whole outfit is worth less. A whole secondhand outfit is worth less than what I, as a tailor. So yes, we are saying that it gave people opportunity and jobs and all this because that's what we are getting. But where is our creativity as Africans who love details, we love art, we love creating, we love the deep, we love connecting it with my grandma and my this, and where is that? Now I have to, I wear this and yeah, so I'm the same as the rest. But where is our creativity going? And so we have to realize that as much as we are being colonized, at the same time, we are losing our culture, we are losing our creativity, we are losing that passion, that love of art, that way that our tailor used to create things with love and passion. We are losing it because the charity that we need to be saying thank you. Oh, thank you for bringing us charity. Yeah, apparently that's what we are supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be thanking the global north for helping us. I'm sorry, but we're not going to thank you. We need our creativity back. We need our people to be back to the way that they used to be. And I will just add what we're doing, because at Ecofashion Week Africa, me and my sister, we sat down because policymakers, that's Anyango, policymakers, you will not reach them. You will try as much as you can, and we are not funded. Me and my sisters, if you see Ecofashion Week Africa, nobody gives us money. And it's because our mouths, we just speak. We speak. We speak. If we don't agree with you, we do not agree with you. If we don't agree with what you're doing, we do not agree with what we are doing. And so we are not financially funded. We are doing this out of deep passion, which is so beautiful because every step of the way is so rewarding. It's super rewarding. And so to help the local designers, because a lot of times you can hear, my sister went undercover. She went to textile, one of the largest textile houses in Nairobi. She went undercover for such a long time as a trainee, as a seamstress trainee and everything. And what she heard, we could not believe. So the brands that are sustainable from Kenya are doing the same, most of them, I will not say all of them, are doing the same thing. The workers are working overtime, it's this, they're sourcing from the same place. So when we saw that, and these people and other people tailors who are complaining that their jobs have been taken, we decided, how about we create a platform while we are waiting for policymakers, because we might be waiting for 50 years, to be honest. So while we are waiting, why not just, instead of complaining all the time, maybe do something behind the scenes by helping these tailors teach them how to make something out of their secondhand clothes. give them something. Maybe they make something and then sell. And that's where my sister is now. You can see you can see someone is
Yes,
ironing.
yes, I will
Yes,
like, oh,
yes,
Belinda, it's amazing what you just said. It's wonderful.
yeah,
I mean, Anyango, first of all, I want to say something. I absolutely admire these two ladies, two sisters, because they actually say, okay, we need to do something. So, Anyango, can you show us actually
yes, that's
your work, how the revolution is starting? You are making
yeah,
the change. Yeah, the change has
yeah,
started in these little, comfortable, nice, lovely places
yeah,
where ladies are comfortable and they, yeah,
yeah.
Anyango.
They're creating. Dolly, you want to say something? Because they're creating pillows. They're creating. It's just a source of, because we're not funded. It's a source of them to get some
I
income.
mean,
You know.
can I say so? Can I ask you something, Belinda? I'm sorry
Yes,
to
please.
interrupt you, but I
Go
was
ahead.
so, you know, just sparkle many questions with your speech. And so I just want you to finish your speech freely. But I just
Yes.
have one
Yes.
question. When you said, what do you think about these fashion brands in the West, like the big top names? They're claiming they are sustainable. What do you say to them when they say, "Oh, we are
I
sustainable"? Big label, like, you know, top fashion designers. I don't want to name anyone. For instance, like, okay, actually, I will drop a name there. Like Stella McCartney, you know, she always claims that she is
mhm.
sustainable. What do you think about? I mean, I don't know much, but I'm asking you.
Yeah. My opinion would be the same thing that Meher said. It's a marketing strategy. It's a marketing word. On the other hand, on the same breath, I will say that some people, like, let's say Stella, I cannot really, I don't know, I haven't dug deep into that, but they might be using the right tailors, they might be paying their correct wages, they might be supporting these people. Maybe they have the living wage, they have the medical arrangements, they have all these things, and that's why they call themselves sustainable.
But you know
So
what I think? Do you know what I
yes.
think? I'm sorry to. I promise it's the last time that I will interrupt you. But you know what I
No, it's
think,
okay.
because I get so
Yeah.
heated up when we talk about that, because it's just a bubble of words. If they really want to be sustainable, they should empower. They should empower companies in Africa. They should empower you guys and getting, you know, the work done there. Don't you think?
I think they should. And I have personally seen maybe two brands, like recently Ethical Fashion. I just saw it from LinkedIn. There is, I think it was Michael Kors or Karl Lagerfeld. They supported a little organization like that. So that's why sometimes I really don't know how to expound when it comes to these big brands claiming their sustainability. Yeah. So yeah, I would also agree with you that if you are really sustainable, then you would look for people, for communities who are doing something impactful, and
Yeah,
work with them
in
to
Pakistan,
produce
yeah,
in
in,
exactly in these
or
places.
in
Why
Africa,
don't you go?
yes.
Yeah. Why don't you go there and work with these women to create that bag? Why don't you go to source where, you know, this actual um, impactful things are going on? What I will also say is that there's something you said earlier. You said trend. If it's not trendy, they don't want to be part of it. So yeah,
Yeah,
that place,
it's
as
true.
you can see where Dolly is seated, where Anyango is seated, is not trendy. It's not
It's not
fancy. It's not
trendy. It's not
trendy. So you
fancy.
really
It's
don't
not.
want to be part of it. It's
No,
not
it's not
fancy.
fashionable, you know, or because it's not supported by some. Excuse my friend, some idiot on TikTok or on social media. So
Absolutely.
that's the old story. Okay, sorry,
Yes.
Belinda, you keep going. But I agree with you. That's what we should do. They should do a real fashion brand, like top
Yeah.
labels. They
Yeah.
claim they are sustainable, etc., they should employ artisans, local artisans in Africa, in Pakistan, because they don't want to pay. That's the problem. They should pay a lot. It doesn't become cheap then, the
Absolutely.
production. So, okay, sorry about that. So please keep.
No worries. And I can see a comment by We Destruct Agency. She says, I believe Stella McCartney did some campaign like this where they worked with local communities. It's possible. And I've seen a few of this. It's just that you're never sure if it's real impact or marketing, but I have seen as well. I agree with you. I have seen that as well.
That's great.
Yeah. And so, yeah, as I was saying, while waiting, we decided to do that. And on the same waiting, while we're still in the waiting train, we decided to educate the youth. And by educating the youth and young upcoming designers, we have school programs, we have designer mentorship, we have community events, we have international relations, where, let's say, a designer from Pakistan or someone who is quite knowledgeable like Mer would speak to students from here, and it's like educating them while they're still, because 80% of fabric you decide it's waste at the design stage. So imagine planting that seed while they're still young or while they're still in school. But we have to remember that we're not teaching these designers the fashion trend, the usual fashion trend. We are reviving it as an empowerment. We're giving it as an empowerment. Our workshops normally show the youth that we already have enough clothes. And we are reminding them that what their grandmothers used to do, that is now considered primitive, is not primitive. We are teaching them that it's actually regenerative, it's actually the future, it's actually what other people want to be. And we're not teaching them how to be like the West. We're teaching them to learn where the global North went wrong so that they don't go the same way and do the same, towards that wrong direction. Because social media can make you think that as an African, there is something you're doing wrong. And then at the same time, it will turn around. The same people will turn around and become saviors. So we've been living in huts, we've been living in thatches, we've been living in mud houses. But when they build it, it's sustainable and it's trendy and it's the best. But when we have it, it's primitive. That we are always ahead. And I love something again that Mary's saying is that we have, we have been sustainable. For Africans, it was out of necessity. And I always tell people this. So when I became a sustainable fashion advocate, I told my mom what I do. And my mom asked me, okay, so could you explain what you do? And I explained what I do. Now I'm rewearing, I'm repairing, I'm doing this. And when I finish with the clothes completely, I don't throw it away. I use it as a rag and everything. And my mom was like, so are you doing the normal things that we do? That's what you call sustainable. So that just shows you that we have always been sustainable. We just didn't have the buzzwords. And so when I sit with people in a panel and I do not have the words, I don't know how to say greenwashing, I don't know how to say overconsumption, I don't know how to say all these words, I'm not eloquent enough with the words, I'm not, you're not supposed to be part of the conversation, but you have lived that experience. It's just the buzzwords that you do not know that you can learn within 3 days and catch up with people who want to use buzzwords, So people need to know that Africans or the global South have lived that experience. And what we are learning now is the buzzwords that you want us to learn. We will learn them. If you want us to learn them, we will go to university and catch the buzzwords and then come back.
You should use your own words, and you should use your own words. Feel free to use your own words, Belinda. There's no, because we treasure your experience. So I think we
Absolutely.
treasure your experience, and that's what really matters. I think we have a
Nina,
question. If it's
yeah.
okay, it's okay with
Yes,
you. There's
please.
a
I saw it
question
and
from
yes.
our friend Nina Gabor. I mean, everybody knows Nina.
Yes, I know Nina.
She's an amazing, positive influencer and advocate
Yes.
for real sustainable fashion. And she's the head of a project in Australia, which I would like to import in Italy. I would like for her to make a franchise. She's got this amazing initiative of swapping clothes in the office. And this is basically, it's a formula that could absolutely kill the sales of fast fashion because it's free and you get the best clothes. Nina, please. Welcome, Nina. And thank you for joining us from Australia. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning or 1
Yeah,
a.m.
it's almost 12:30. So if I start slurring, it's not because I'm drunk. It's really late here. Thank you so much for letting me interject. There's so much here that everybody's saying that I just want to scream in agreement. I mean, Mayor, your speech was just powerful. I wanted to scream yes, yes, yes at every single thing. Belinda, you too. Like, it's just, and Eric, thank you for bringing up these issues because there's so much I want to say, but I'll try and keep it brief. We know that this issue is beyond textiles and fashion. We know it's a big, massive imperialist situation. I'll start with what the last thing you were saying, Belinda, about how we've been sustainable in the global South. Indigenous communities around the world in the global South, we've never not been sustainable, right? And if you know of the zero waste movement on social media that was started by 3 white women in 2017, I loved it when we all started screaming back, you did not invent zero waste, please. It was not invented by 3 white women in the US or wherever they were. The global South has never not been sustainable. And one of the conversations I'm constantly having, what I'm always saying is that, we don't waste anything, we don't call it sustainable fashion. We call it a Tuesday. It's part of our everyday life, always has been. And yes, it's part of necessity, but it's not also necessity, because I reject this argument that global South has always been poor. We haven't been poor. That's a colonial concept. We lived differently. It wasn't poverty until they came in and made all these divisions and conflicts. And I mean, we had conflicts, sure, but we also had our ways of resolve. It was different. It wasn't poverty. Poverty was introduced with colonialism, in my opinion. At least poverty as we know it now. Let me put it that way. So things like sharing and reusing has not always been a poverty thing. It's just been part of our culture. Giving. You use something, when you're done with it, if it's still in good condition, you give it to your younger cousins or your younger siblings or somebody else. They use it until, if it's unusable in its state, we use it as rags or something else, right? It's just part of the culture. It's not just poverty. Sharing is part of sharing, so that's one of the conversations I'm always having here. And in terms of, so in Australia, I'm sure we have, like other parts of the world, we have Indigenous communities. Here in Australia, we have the Aboriginal people who have always been very much caring for the land, and they still do, but they're left out of these, I'm putting in air quotes, sustainable fashion conversations. We had Fashion Week in Australia recently, and I was fortunate enough to be on a panel to talk about how we can get federal government policy to support sustainable fashion and against fast fashion and all that. And halfway through, these 3 Indigenous designers stood up and in kind of a little bit of a protest said they're always excluded from these conversations. They are the original Australians, which they are. They have a 60,000-year-old fashion industry, right? They've been around for so long, but they're always excluded. And, it's just the thing. When I go into these rooms of sustainable fashion in Australia, and even I see this in the UK and other countries, I don't see anyone that looks like us. I'm like, what's going on here, right? So they've coined the term sustainable fashion, left the originators of the concept out of the conversation. So I feel like, it's been said here, it's kind of a marketing thing in some ways, right? So kind of like, look at me, look at how great I am. Look at all these fancy terms that I've come, that I can talk about. Meanwhile, it's like, hello, there are people that have been doing this for thousands of years. You haven't invented anything new, So That's a very interesting thing. Now, we came out with a textile waste report with the organization I work with called the Australia Institute. And I got so much backlash because I talked about banning textile waste here in Australia. All right. So all the textile waste exporters who make millions of dollars and everything came after me and saying all sorts of things. And something interesting that one of these textile waste exporters wrote to our executive director in the organization against me. But he was saying something interesting. He said, well, if we don't export our textile waste to Africa or countries in the global south, they'll just buy cheap, ultra fast fashion from China. And I was like, who are you to dictate what another human or other human beings decide or where to purchase from? These are sovereign human beings. Who are you to say they will buy? Who's they? Are they animals? Who's they? Are they what is that? So these are so you see that there's no, this is the core issue for me. They don't see the humanity of people in the global south. You're not human to them. You're just something that they discard on, take from, and decide your life and your future, your fate. You're just a thing. So I think that's the core of the issue. They don't see the humanity of people in the global south. And it's referenced in the way they speak about those of us from the people from the global south. Also on this, I've heard a very senior person here in Australia, someone who's highly respected in the sustainable fashion industry, have this argument with me online. And she literally said, now this is someone who's highly regarded, mind you. She said that yes, we should continue exporting our waste because the virgin resources came from the global south. Therefore, it's justified that after it's used, it should be sent back to the global south. Yes. Yes.
This is shocking.
Yes.
Honestly,
I still can't believe it when I hear it. But yeah,
I would like to have this person on the panel here.
Yeah. So and then also during Fashion Week, I was on a panel with somebody who's he's a politician in government, a local government, but he also said that they've started a program where they're asking local residents to they pick up their own wearables. They're asking them to put out their own wearables once a week. They'll pick it up. The local government will pick it up, and then they're exporting this. And he was talking proudly, like, we have saved 2 tons of textile waste from going to landfill in the last, 2 months or whatever it was. Proudly. It was a joy. And I'm like, what? Am I hearing this in 2025 on a stage on Australian Fashion Week? Yes. So that's to show you the level of the distance between what we're talking about today and the mindset. That's to show you the mindset. Very strong colonial mindset. So I don't want to take up everybody's time too much, but I'll just quickly say, Belinda, I relate to you what you were saying about this is a lived experience for you. So when as a young child, I used to watch movies from the 40s and 50s with my family. We moved back to Nigeria. I grew up in the US. We moved back to Nigeria when I was a teenager. So I was seeing quality stuff that was being, vintage from the 50s. And I loved it because that was what, I was attracted to. That's how I got into this sustainable fashion space. And it was quality stuff, vintage, because it wasn't trendy yet in the West. So that's how I got into this, from the vintage fashion that I would see on Audrey Hepburn and so on. And again, I'm baffled how they say some of these exporters will say they only send quality stuff. Because even here in Australia, I do quite a few TV interviews about this, where people go to thrift shops and it's poor quality stuff. And, the conversation here is always, thrifting is not fun anymore because the quality is so bad. So how can they now, same people, fix their mouth to say that they're sending wearable, high quality stuff? When even here, everybody's crying that they hate charity shopping or thrift shopping because there's nothing good anymore. Makes no sense to me.
And I would thank you for bringing up this point, because this is really a crucial point, Nina. Every time I have a discussion on LinkedIn or any other platform with these people from secondhand industry, they always refuse to come forward. They always refuse to come on board because it's too uncomfortable for them. They know what they're doing. But thank you very much, Nina, for
Sorry, I
this
just want to finish
passionate.
with
Yes,
one more
please go
thing.
ahead.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to talk for so long.
No, it's no. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I'm really, a real
I
pleasure.
think,
Thank
you know, the overall situation, we know what it is colonialism, imperialism, neocolonialism, whatever you want to call it. But there is hope, because not just with textile waste, and but in general, I think Africans are definitely, even in rural areas, grassroots movements are beginning to wake up to what's been going on for decades, well, centuries even. We have a certain country, little country with a young leader, military leader, who is inspiring a lot of change on the continent, and people are beginning to wake up. And I think things will turn around. And I'm so grateful that, you know, for everyone who's speaking today, and that, you know, Iri, with this forum that you've created, because it's adding to those conversations. We have BRICS nations that's getting stronger. They're no longer relying on the US dollar, which is a big shift. It's not perfect by any stretch, but at least it's hopefully better than what has been. So yeah, there's definitely hope to this shift where, you know, I think people in the global south are beginning to realize and take back their sovereignty and no longer tolerate what has been happening. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Nina. You know, I love to have you on board. I would like to have you all the time, because it's just wonderful what you just said. It's so true. It's so true. And I think Mer wanted to add something. Oh, one thing I want to add here. You know, I would like to organize a podcast live, and we should all go to the Eco Africa Fashion Week. Nina, Mer, the amazing Dr. Leanne Tilrut, of course. I don't go anywhere without her. Everyone, we should be there and really streaming live and getting support from the local institutions. Maybe we will work something out, but we have to do something about. And I would all invite you to look up each other profile, and especially the initiative that Nina is launching with this whopping clothes in Australia. I follow her on Instagram, and she comes up with this amazing concept. So yeah, thank you, Nina. Mer, please, you wanted to add something.
Yes.
I'm
just
sorry,
very quick.
Belinda. I'm sorry, Belinda. You ignite something out of control. The conversation has gone out of control.
No, I love
No,
it, because then it's interactive, to be honest. I really
just
do love
wanted
that.
to pick up on something that Nina had said. Sorry, I'm lagging here. I don't know if you can hear me or see me. Hopefully you can, because my internet is a bit shaky here.
We can see it. We can.
Okay, great. Just picking up on something that Nina had said about how the established fashion industry people, I remember I was in Dubai for COP 28, and a leading international designer, globally acclaimed, everywhere, you mention it, Vogue cover, right? Okay. She decided that she wanted to engage with diverse communities, because she wanted to learn about our practices. And I thought, you want knowledge generation. You don't want knowledge sharing. You know, you still want to take our practices, our ancient traditions, our knots, our stitching techniques, our methods of production, and you're going to take that back to the UK, and I'm going to see that on the high street. So I was like, I don't think so. A lot of people criticize me at the time, saying, well, essentially, yes. A lot of people criticize me, say that, oh, you should have engaged, you should have explained. And I said, why am I having to explain my culture to someone who claims to be sustainable on a global forum? I am just a tiny speck of dust. I hold no illusions. But even I pose a threat. And we're talking knowledge sharing, right? Why is it always a one-way street where we give and we give and we give? Why is this designer not interested in engaging with communities that I know of back home so that they can be empowered and a proper circular economy can be created? So when it comes to about the international community, I mean, I'm done. I really am done. You know, it's what Belinda's saying, what Nina's saying, lived experiences, done.
Mayor, could you please, because, you know, share the name of this designer, because if she went public, she's on record, she went public, so there is no harm on saying her name.
Again, speaking from experience, they have really long hands, big hands, and somehow or the other, there's always a trickle-down effect. This has happened to so many people, so many well-meaning people, that it's come to a point, Irene, where we're like, you know what, we see you, and no, we're not engaging with you. And on some level, that it doesn't give me satisfaction, but there's a level of redemption when I see their sustainability efforts fall flat. Exactly what Nina is saying when we call them out and we say, we see you, we're not impressed. And that's where the fight actually lies. The call out culture inevitably hurts us, people of color, because we are called out for calling them out. And then nobody speaks up for us. And this is also something that is why the sustainability talk is so hollow. How can you talk about sustainability when I'm asking for my rights? I'm asking for my right to my resources, such as water, and I'm being called out for it? Done.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I
Mayor,
just-
I have to agree with you. The hands are very, very long. That if you look at how many blocks have been put around Eco-Fashion Week Africa, where you cannot move, the hands are long, and we are the ones who suffer. You say it, and then it comes to you as an individual, or anything that you're coming up with is never going to go anywhere because it's blocked.
What if I say it?
Yeah.
What if I say it? I want to say it. What if I say it? So that's why we should organize a podcast during the Eco Africa Fashion Week. We will be outspoken. So who is going to come after us? Why? What are we doing? We're doing nothing wrong. It's not. We don't have to apologize. It's other powerful forces that should apologize. And one day they will. So, Mayor, thank you very much for your intervention. Belinda, would you like to add anything else before we leave the...
I will close. I will close off.
Okay.
I will not speak on policy, as I shared that you actually really delved deep on policy, and so I will not repeat what he was saying. I'll just do a closing where I just want people to know. I want to emphasize that we are not calling for charity. We are calling for equity. When we are sitting here, we are not calling for charity. We are not asking, as Yo again put it so well, we are not, he is not looking for charity. We are here, we are asking for equity. You know, we are asking for equal playing field. If we're going to recycle clothes, let it be our clothes that we produced. You know, we don't want an unfair platform. And we are not begging to be saved at all. We really want our creativity to be respected. That's what we are looking for. And I just want to also say that Eco-Fashion Week Africa is really open to partnering with people. And I like, again, Mayor, you say that it should be, they should be learning from us and we should be learning from them. And I have to say that from this, it has been very positive for us in Eco-Fashion Week, because even when I was in Madrid speaking to designers, they were open to sharing their knowledge. Because what I noticed with the upcycled and recycled patterns, they were nicely done and cut, and we work with students. So students would learn from that finishing and the pattern making and everything. And for us, it's been very positive. They have said yes, and they are actually open to training their students. So when you partner with us, it's really not a pity kind of partnership, but it's a co-creating. You know, you're co-creating. Don't come as a savior. We are co-creating. You're not bringing your saviorism flag at Eco-Fashion Week Africa. You're coming to...
as partners.
As partner, we are co-creating, we're creating a beautiful ecosystem. So that's how and that has been very, to be honest, on our side, we've seen a good return to that. So I will leave it to Anyango.
Thank you. Before we go ahead, we have our guest, Francesca Favia from Italy. Francesca, hi, welcome. I had a lovely chat the other day with Francesca. And
hello everybody. Hi. First of all, so I would like to thank you, Irene, for inviting me on this podcast. And I would like to say that this discussion is very interesting because there are a kind of open window about what is the reality, because so the fashion world, it is so shining, and but behind the door there is a kind of world that they don't want, above all luxury brand don't want to show to all of us. I can bring my personal experiences because at environmental and ethical level, because I work with European Commission, and I you found proposals developer, and I worked in the past in many projects funded by European Commission about fashion, and the environmental aspects, so about fashion. And I, with some projects, I went around Europe to visit some factory, for example, in Romania, or
yes, in
Portugal.
Romania, I know there is a problem in Romania as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
With fast
in
fashion.
Romania, Portugal, Italy as well, because there are lots of factory that are not that maybe are a place of
Sweatshops.
new slaves. And I visited this factory. There are factory about big brand. You're talking about luxury brand, and was this something said that it's very shocking because for example, so you have the reality about dress that in Romania, the final price is 20 euro, less than 20 euro, and we have the same dress in the shop in Italy and other parts that is around 500. 500.
Yeah,
so you
exactly.
so there is there are a lot of work, but you need to do about that, so about the work conditions, so about for example, so in Italy, we had a couple of weeks ago the strikes about the Max Mara factory, because
I've seen that because they were underpaid and treated really badly. Yeah.
In the main factory, we're not talking about factory that are placed around other part of Italy, of Europe. We are talking about in Reggio Emilia, where there is the main factory, and employers decide to strike against the non-human level of at work level, and with the pay.
They were not treated. Yeah, they were not treated. I know. I've seen that. So what we can do.
So there is
it's not only. It's also in Europe. Yeah, it's also in
there is
Europe.
a tangible problem. So the people are trying to cover. And also, would you like to say this? Concerning the problem with Africa, I developed another project. So with a social cooperative that is based in south of Italy, and this social cooperative has a lot of relationship with Africa. We developed this project about to study the supply chain about garment, dresses that normally we provide to charities, the the Italian church, and we try to discover so where actually these the supply chain about so these dresses. And we discovered that in the middle of this supply chain there are a lot of people and external person factors that are I know that are I can say there is a kind of evolution in the supply chain. For example, so we discovered that there is a kind of mafia that are going to manage so this supply chain of dresses.
Yeah, but for sure, this is
That from Italy are going to in Kenya, for example, and so these thousand garments, dressings that are going in Africa, they are not, there is not a kind of paper or rules or regulations. So we have thousand dresses that we don't know. So how many actually they are, and they are destroying so the environment. So
I
we
know. Yeah.
we discovered, so for example, a big important environmental social impact concerning so the coastal the river, so that are so these dressing are impacting so the environmental in a serious way because there are a lot of dresses, so the impact is enormous. And also
Francesca, sorry if I interrupt you. Can I just say something? Do you have a report that you can share on this research? Something in writing, a presentation, or something that we can share and we can keep it for, I mean, if it's something that you can share, because it's very interesting what you're saying.
yeah, so need to but basically so these reports are not belong to me, but belong to that are property of the partners of the project.
Okay. No, I understand, because what you're saying is very interesting, but I would like to give the space to Anyango, and then we have Dr. Lianti Lurutkowski that she's been waiting so patiently, and so we need to, I need to give space to the speakers, and I wanted to know if we can continue this conversation, me and you, afterwards, so that we can organize something for the next episode.
Of course, yes.
Thank you, Francesca. Thank you.
Thank you to you, to all of you.
Stay with us. Stay with us. We can continue later. Stay with us. Anyango left. She left.
Yeah, I don't see her in the and I can't find her on WhatsApp as well. So I guess
don't worry, because she had some issues with the internet. And therefore I would like to introduce our wonderful, amazing supporter. She's my number one supporter, and without Dr. Lian, probably I would not be here today. She's been always encouraging me during this year, since day one. So let me welcome, please, Dr. Lianti Lurutkowski. She's joined the conversation as a special commentator and as a member of Enjoy Vintage Sustainable Fashion Board and special advisor, reflecting on the guests' talking points and explaining why she has decided to issue a series of incredible amicus curiae brief secondhand clothing, alongside several press releases addressed to the key players involved with the Ghana and Kenya environmental disaster. Please welcome Dr. Lianti Lurutkowski from Boston, US. And I'm sorry if we have delayed your entry today.
Please, I don't feel like, I mean, the thunder has been taken from me. I'm on fire here. I just have been just like simmering. I just am in awe and so humbled, truly being in the company of these amazing people. And I like to refer to them as boots on the ground. And that's where you get the real story, the real solutions, and the real action. And I thank you so much, Yuri, for giving me this platform, for giving all of us this platform. It is, I know, a growing voice in for change for the global South. And I am so blessed to be part of it. And thank you all for being here. Now, I'm going to try to go as quickly as I can because, like I said, with all of the expertise that preceded me, I hope that I can do justice to everybody's contribution. I just quickly wrote, to me, I think it's important to just give a little, follow up on the remarks that were shared, and maybe a little bit of insight. You're the upcoming generation. I've been through a generation and I'm ahead of you. So I have a little bit more, experience, and I've seen a lot. Basically, I wanted to, first of all, with the electronics, and it's like the wind industry, right? The supposedly, but not really, one of the greenest countries in the world, Denmark, not so fast. And they have, pushed the green lie with the windmills and the wind power. But what happens when these things fall apart? They don't have a plan. And if you hopped on the last podcast, you'll know, some of you might not know, but I'm actually an accomplished designer. I have been on the runway on runways with New York Fashion Week designers, where my collections have gotten standing ovations. So I know the business inside and out, and I know I can smell a rat. I hate to say it. So when I presented a paper on the cotton industry in New York City with a winner for the $250,000 prize from H&M, and his plan was for solar textiles. And I just asked him one simple question. Well, that sounds really funky, but what are you going to do with, the wind power, or the sun panels when you're done, it's all said and done? He goes, well, I haven't really gotten that far yet. I'm like, okay, leave it to other people to worry about, leave it to the global South, right? That's probably where they're going to be shipped. So as far as Ya's remarks on the Rwanda, basically Rwanda has, it's just remarkable. The people are remarkable. They've had their issues with wars going on, yet they still persist. And they put their foot down and said no. And as a result, their creative economy is absolutely flourishing. They're contributing over 4% to the total GDP in just a few years. So if they can do it, anybody can do it. And it's the little country that could. So one of the interesting things that I did find, I'm always going on tangents, interesting, in the court systems, and I'm bringing this up because I'm actually going to be going over really quickly, and I'm trying to move as fast as I can. The amicus curiae brief, that the legal system in Ghana and Kenya, the judges still wear the white wigs, right? Like, what the hell is that? And then you go to Rwanda, and no wigs, no way, right? Colonialism is getting a kick out the door. What the hell is that? So then I have the theory, healthy country, healthy people. So you got to get your house in order in Ghana, right? You got to get your house in order, or it ain't going to work. So ultimately, and please forgive me if I'm offending anybody, but these things got to go. They got to shake it. So basically, and Belinda, it was wonderful to hear your lived experience you know, you've lived the experience, you can talk about it. Mir, you've lived the experience, you can talk about it. I don't look like you, but I've lived the experience. I grew up in the schmata business. I never had any new clothes growing up because we got the leftovers. All my uncles worked in the textile mills, because I'm going to lay this on the line. When the colonial behaviors of the fashion industry are done with you, they walk away. They don't care if anybody. So you've got to pick your bootstraps up before they decide to pull the plug. So that happened here in New England, and then it started where the factories moved to the South here because it was cheaper to run them. And then they started realizing that you could go to the global South and really do things cheaply. So there are vacuums all over the United States that were created by the fashion industry that have never recovered. You know, drug-infested mill homes and people that it was generational. So these things, you know, do happen. Dead man's clothes, dead white man's clothes. It's also a saying in China, believe it or not. Oh, by the way, isn't that where, you know, Temu and you know, the Chinese fast fashion comes from, right? And Shein. Well, Chinese people do not wear secondhand clothes. They don't have the market because they don't want to wear dead white man's clothes. So they ship it to the global South. They don't want any part of it, but they're the ones generating it. So what's good for the goose is not good for the gander. And, you know, clearly indigenous generated fashion is what I would accept as the definition of sustainable fashion, and that's the only one. So there's not been a lot of talk about China, but you have to realize that if you look around the atmosphere in not only Africa, but in Italy, China is infiltrating the indigenous populations, and they're doing great damage. They're also generating the fast fashion industry. They're jumping through the loopholes that you would not believe. It would take another show. So ultimately, in Prato, Italy, the Chinese have set up, it's really like a Chinatown. And so they're starting to sell for the Italian brands. So yeah, you're getting something that's made in Italy, but it's made by Chinese people that really do not have the, you know, the ethnicity, and they don't have the traditional, they're not made by traditional Italian artisans. So it's just another form of, you know, failed policy. Basically, I brought up my term ignis fatuus. I hope that's going to catch on, because it's another name for foolish fire. And in the sustainable fashion industry, I love fashion, but you have to call it what it is. Let's see. Oh, the cotton picking, and, you know, I really find it interesting, and Mir brought this up about underrepresentation and basically talking about cotton growing and how you do the growing, but you don't get the benefits of it, right? It's the children growing the cotton. It's indescribable. There is a study that I just thought I remembered. It was a 10-year study in Punjab, India, between about 99 and 2006 or 2009, something like that. It's in that time frame. I don't have my notes in front of me, but 40,000 Punjab farmers committed suicide because they couldn't keep up with the payments of the pesticides and the herbicides, because they were being forced to grow genetically modified cotton. So it not only was unable to sustain their farms, but once that gets into the soil, it makes it fallow and you can't grow fruit trees. So the damage that's being done is not being really, it's far deeper than meets the eye. Let's see. I already mentioned that. Oh, and Stella McCartney, I almost had a heart attack when I heard her brought up. She can afford to do the bells and whistles of sustainable fashion. And I know we all like to think of her as the green carpet queen, and you know, her and Olivia Firth too, to me are the most, I'd say the most interesting. And I go with Mary. You can really just say so much because they've got all the money and they've got all the lawyers. So you have to be really careful about what you say about these people. But actually, I guess flattery, imitation is a form of flattery. And Olivia Firth actually had to close her agency, Eco Age, I think it was, because she had some legal issues and she had this great renaissance and rebirth. Well, wouldn't you believe that her whole mission statement was taken from my website? Yeah. And of course, I called them out. I haven't seen much of it since. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't freaking believe it. So then Stella McCartney, she's another one. One of her people had posted this wonderful thing about her Go Naked campaign. We are going to be so good to these animals. We're not going to use leather. I didn't see one picture of a sheep, right? I said, well, I wonder why they didn't put a picture of a sheep. It's because she's using wool, that little bugger. Well, you know, they're so deceitful. And in 2016, she was, along with Patagonia, the big, another eco brand, right? They were both found out to be using the wool farms in Southern Europe that were abusing the sheep. They were skinning them alive, basically, to get a better result of the fur. So the only reason they stopped doing it is because PETA or somebody, you know, called them out on it. Oh, a my bad moment. Nothing happens. Unregulated, self-regulated fashion industry. So that brings me to, speaking of self-regulated, we are all in this together, and we can't wait for fancy people to do our jobs. You know, we are really fancier than they are. They just don't realize it. So I decided to do the amicus brief and start country by country. Okay. So the first country I'm working on right now is Ghana. And let's see. I'm going to go to, am I taking too long, Erie? I'm trying to hurry.
No, it's just in 5-10 minutes. So, you know, we have to
I'll
finish.
just
You know,
go
we have
through this.
to, because otherwise it's, you know, it's
No, I'm hurrying. Okay, basically, it's an amicus brief, and it's basically taking an amicus curiae means friend of the court. So we're submitting this so that we can be the subject matter experts to this problem. We can help the government of Ghana solve this problem. And the brief matters because Ghana receives over 15 million garments a week, many of them unusable. Nearly 40%, we know the math there, end up as waste, polluting communities like Manto Market in the Corley Lagoon. This isn't just an environmental issue, it's a matter of sovereignty, trade justice, and cultural survival. Our brief, or the brief that I submitted, outlines the legal and policy imperatives that Ghana can adopt to restrict secondhand clothing dumping, enforce producer responsibility, and promote a creative circular economy. The key proposal that thus far it looks like importing restrictions on secondhand bales with low usability, EPR for foreign brands flooding the Ghana markets, investment in Ghana's local textile, fashion, and waste innovation economy, and protection of cultural identity through the creative sector development and community empowerment. And basically, this brief would not have taken flight without the support of two powerful voices in ethical advocacy, Kissy, therefore, and cultural policy analyst and advocate for Indigenous Ghanaian economic autonomy, and Iri Nuzianti, international legal strategy, support of the international legal strategy, and co-sponsor representing transitional sustainable fashion law. So they are both very supportive. Basically, I have filed the brief and have heard nothing. I've followed up and still have heard nothing. So I have a surprise for everybody today. Buckle up. I drafted a letter, and I'm going to read it in public right now, to the president of Ghana. His name is President John Dramani Mahama. And now, hopefully he's listening, and I know he will, because this is going to get to him one way or the other. It's his second. It's another shot. He wasn't the president in the last term. He got who voted him in this time? The youth vote. Well, let's do something about it, Prez. Your Excellency, this is an open letter to the president of Ghana. As I refer to the following quote by Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's first president and a Pan-African visionary, I am not African because I was born in Africa, but because Africa was born in me. I stand before you today, sir, with great respect, as you step once again into the leadership of this great republic, elected by the hope and conviction of Ghana's youth to guide them out of the trenches of economic disaster and challenges of corruption. There must be a plan. I call on you from Boston. I call to you not only with my voice, however, in addition, with a letter filed as an amicus curiae brief, as I present this as a friend of the court on behalf of your people, the people of Ghana. My call to you is a call to reason, a call to reinvigoration, a call to your African family. Why is this call necessary? Because every day in the markets of Ghana, especially Kantamanto, people, the environment, and animals are drowning. Not in opportunity, sir, but in waste, very well disguised as second-hand clothing, rejected textiles, piles upon piles of foreign cast-off, marked as donations, but unwearable, unsellable, unusable. This is not aid. This is waste colonialism. This is colonial violence. Ghana is rich with gifts, rich in culture, in design, in heritage. From the Adinkra of the Ashanti to the drumbeats of the U, from, excuse my pronunciation, sir, Gadabanji fishermen to Mole Dagban chieftaincies, we know there is no end. Your languages of Twi, you, God, Dagbani, Fanti are not merely spoken, they are lived, and they are worn, and they are danced. They are celebrated. Without a plan, they will too become a thing of the past. As it is your leadership and only your leadership that will quell the invasion of colonial violence, which is not just physical harm, it is cultural harm. And yet the creative spirit of Ghana is being buried beneath bales of discarded fashion. Well, now, Mr. President, as I see it clearly, there is a way forward. The brief I filed proposes solutions. Restrict excessive secondhand imports. enforce extended producer responsibility from foreign brands, and invest in Ghana's own circular, sustainable, creative economy. This is not just policy, it is promise. A promise to the youth who voted for your transformation, for the transformation of Ghana. A promise to the designers, the market women, the tailors, the weavers, whose livelihoods are endangered. A promise to Ghana to never again be a dumping ground, but a lighthouse of creative strength for all of Africa. Mr. President, this is the time. This is the turning point. Let Continental rise, not as a symbol of burden, but as a symbol of bold resistance. As I present this note to you today, I am supported by a son of Africa, a son of Ghana, Ya Kissy, one amazing part of the future of Ghana. Irene Nuzanti of Italy, podcaster that believes in the power of the Ghanaian spirit of success. Anyango of Kenya, the future of Kenya. Belinda Atieno Smetano, also the future of Kenya. And Mir Hussein, the future of Pakistan. With unwavering hope and deepest respect, Dr. Leanne Teal-Rakowski, Boston. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Leanne. Thank you. Thank you. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for showing us what does it mean being a leader. A leader is not someone who holds an office. It's someone who can actually reach the heart of the people, and that I can see in you, and I can see in Yo, in Nina, in Mare, in Belinda, Anyango, all of you here today. You are the real leadership. Thank you very much for being here. Leanne, you are absolutely outstanding, amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, on this amazing note, ladies and gentlemen, I will let you go now. With deep appreciation for what you are doing, for being here, for taking your time in our busy life. This is just the beginning. This series of podcasts will support the rise of the Global South peacefully, with diplomacy, but with undying determination. Thank you. Nina, please.
Sorry, I just want to say one last quick thing. With the Global North, I feel like there's a fear of, and this is an artificial fear, a manipulated fear that people have, that if they allow countries in the Global South to have maybe some sovereignty, or this, there will be financial repercussion or power repercussion, because people have been led to believe that they need the power imbalance to maintain the lifestyle. I don't know if I'm making sense there, which is false. I think that's a result of capitalism, late stage capital, extreme capitalism. And it's also impacting the environment that many people are fighting for. So I think the conversation also, it needs to be introduced into the conversation as well, that it's a lie of capitalism, that this global inequality structure needs to be in place for people in the Global North to thrive. We know that it's just an elite few who are thriving. There's more than enough for everyone in the Global North and Global South without exploitation. And if we care about the environment, and it's not just, following up what Leanne said, it's not just for a circular economy in countries in the Global South like Ghana, even in the Western countries, for their own textiles industry to thrive, we need to call this issue. It's for everyone. It's for the environment as well. It's to reduce emissions. It's for climate change. It's, so I think that helps the conversation further when we include these other concepts. Thank you for letting me speak.
No, Nina, thank you. Thank you for your impactful words. Thank you very much. And I agree with you. There is this fear. It's only through fear that people start oppressing, that this big power keep oppressing a great continent. So let's continue the conversation with the next episode, which we will take a break over summer. We will be back by the end of September, beginning of October, but you will hear from us on the social medias, on LinkedIn. And with the support of Dr. Liane Thiel-Rutkowski, we will reach absolutely the great powers. We want legislation. We don't want words. We don't want pity. We don't want sympathy. We want words. We want new legislations. Okay, we want facts and more realities like Anyango and Belinda. They are doing a great work with the local artisans and with their inspiration as well from Pakistan. We need to get these continents together. We need to unite Africa, Pakistan, Chile, all of these, the global south. We need to get them together, united. Thank you very much. It was an immense pleasure for me to be amongst you, to be amongst these giants. You are real giants. And I'm just, a small, tiny person compared to you. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
Bye.
you. Au revoir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
will keep us together. We can beat them forever